everyone. So tailoring and customizing, and this is really not about application materials necessarily, and more we're going to talk about the actual job postings that you might be looking at. So let's talk about customizing your job search. So I want to go back to that we were looking at some of those open job market sources, and I'm going to stay with my theme of my example of nonprofit work for today as I'm showing you this example. But let's say that I wanted to check some things out on idealist.org. And I went to Idealist and I decided I want to do a skills-based search. So I'm going to do survey research. So let's say that I have a skill set in survey research, and let's say I want to work in DC area. That's what I'm going to initially put into my job search. But from there, Idealist and most job boards have more advanced search features. So I'd really encourage you to check those out. In this case, I put in some parameters around job functions. So perhaps I'm interested mostly in research and social sciences. I also put in I'm going to do the laser pointer again. I also maybe am interested in particular issues. So maybe the issues are surrounding women, women's health. Education level is sometimes a search filter that you can put in. In this case, I wanted to see what was available at the PhD level with these parameters in place. And what I found was something that I was interested in. So the Director Center of Economics and Reproductive Health at the Institute for Women's Policy Research in DC. So that looked interesting to me. Here, what I can do is I can apply if I'm ready to do that. I could save it and come back later if I'm not quite sure if I want to apply right this moment. Or maybe this is not the right position for me, but I know somebody else. Pass it along, karma, right? Send them this position. Areas for tailoring and kind of looking and drilling down and looking at a job posting. Here, what we want to do is I'm going to take the same example of this Institute for Women's Policy Research, this particular position. What I want to do is I want to start manipulating this job posting. And what I mean by that is to do a copy paste, right? I might copy and paste that entire job description and put it in a Word doc or in a Google Doc, wherever I can manipulate it by underlining, highlighting, bolding, italicizing. I want to start choosing keywords that I really want to focus on. Most job descriptions start off with what is the mission or vision of this particular organization or company. And this is really important. Again, we're going back to our self-assessment, right? Is this an organization that's in alignment with your values, or you think that could be in alignment with your values? And knowing about this company and what they stand for is also really important when you are going to be tailoring your application materials. When you tailor your resume and your cover letter, you want them to know that you understand what they stand for and you understand what they are researching, you understand what they're trying to do and what impact they're trying to make. That's going to really help you. Then if we drill this down a little bit further and we look at the research experience and the program and research management experience, this is where the job posting gets even more specific, right? So this is where they're kind of saying, this is what we're looking for in a candidate. These are the skills that we would like for you to have. Okay. Now, connecting the dots. I want to talk about this a little bit because a lot of people look at a job posting and they think, oh, I don't know that I'm qualified for this position. I don't meet all of these specifications and qualifications that they're looking for. And I think a lot of people miss the mark in identifying their transferable skills. So what I'm showing you here is this transferable skills worksheet, and this is adapted from UCLA's Career Preparation Toolkit. It's really, really good, and it's organized in a way to showcase where your skills might be transferable in research, analysis, communication, leadership and interpersonal skills, organization, management, supervision, entrepreneurial skills, those types of things. So you may go through this worksheet and say to yourself, well, I have, this research experience. I know how to synthesize large quantities of really complex information. Sure, I do that. I know how to design experiments. That's something that I'm practicing. I've done. I have done grant writing. I have writing and communication skills, interpersonal leadership skills. Maybe you teach a class, right? Like, wow, leadership skills right there. Classroom management skills. Supervision skills. Let's say you're in a lab and you are overseeing undergraduates in your lab. You have supervision skills, right? So we're going to take a look at this worksheet in here in just a second. But I want you at the PhD level, you have an incredible amount of transferable skills. And I think that you would do yourself a disservice by not really thinking and reflecting on what do I do in the work that I do as a PhD that could be applicable to a position that I might want to apply for in government, a nonprofit or for-profit work. If I break down, I'm taking the same job description that we were just looking at. What I want to break down even more for you here is some words, right? So this job description saying they want someone with familiarity and experience conducting research and or policy analysis on issues related to reproductive health, education, and employment outcomes for women. That's specific. The hiring manager for this position would probably love someone who has these specific skill sets, right? Like within these areas, but it likely is going to be the case that you have research and policy analysis skills, maybe not in these areas, right? But it's still transferable, right? So don't get too hung up sometimes on the specificity of a job description. The hiring manager would love to find someone who meets every single criteria that they're looking for, but it's likely not going to happen. So how do you show them the transferability of your skills? If we look down here and strong program and project management skills, my goodness, as a PhD, you are juggling writing a dissertation, running research, all of the things that you are doing, right? You've got project management skills. You also have the ability to meet deadlines and competing demands. So don't underestimate yourself, right? Making sure that you are emphasizing all the things that you are doing that are transferable. Also, this position says ability to oversee the overall execution of this entire center research projects. That sounds very lofty. It sounds very intimidating. But again, break it down. And what are they asking? They're asking for you to be able to multitask and deliver the program goals, right? And you have been practiced in doing that. You know how to do that, right? So don't let a job description scare you too much. Don't let it intimidate you. Think about it in a way that would be transferable. What is my transferable skill here? And then, some supervision experience. Many of you are teaching or maybe kind of overseeing undergrads in a lab, or maybe you have some other managerial experience. Maybe you've been in industry before and you've managed in some way. This is really what it means to break down a job description, manipulate that job description, and take a look at where you have direct and transferable skills in determining if you'd like to apply for this position. So we're not going to talk about tailoring your resume specifically, but tailoring your application documents to a position is so, so important. So let's take one last pause. I'd like for you all to take about 2 minutes to think about some of your transferable skills. I'm going to show you the worksheet, don't worry. And you're going to note some of these down. And I know this is going to take a lot more time than 1 to 2 minutes, but this is just a means for you to kind of get started. So go ahead, take about 2 minutes here. We're getting to the end of our time, and something that I just wanted to close out on is it is tough out there right now, and I want you all to make sure that you're really taking care of yourself. Job searching is a very difficult process, made even more difficult by the state that we're in right now. It doesn't mean that hiring is not going to happen, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to climb out of the economy that we're in. So no, it's a difficult process regardless. But what you need to take extra precaution if you are one of those people who are going to be starting a job search right now is to be very good to yourself. Take breaks whenever you are meeting your goals. Reward yourself. Celebrate those small victories and small wins. Even if it's an interview that you get and you don't move on to the next round, well, hey, guess what? You got an interview and you were selected over maybe even hundreds of people, right? So what an accomplishment. So be good to yourself. Tap into support systems, whether it be friends or family, or whether it be utilizing services such as Texas Career Engagement, our team, for a career advising appointment. We're here to support you, whether it be an advisor, faculty member, someone, a mentor, whoever you can tap into to make sure you're touching base with someone and being able to process, how difficult it can be.